Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. Also check me out on Twitch as Floyd Mason.
Hello, welcome back, Spooks fans. We're back. Been a bit busy. Been moving stuff around in the room. The downstairs room is packed full of stuff right now. But we are back with another Goosebumps book review. And this time we're on to book 19, Deep Trouble. We'll get into it later, but cover here, I do have another copy of this one, but again, everything moved around in my room. I can't get to it. I also was going to show this is actually one of the books I have a cassette for, as I have the cassette collection. There's like 6 of them, I think, 6 or 7. But this is one that's on the cassette as well, which is kind of cool. Also, I think somebody's put them online at some point, so if you ever want to listen to the cassettes of the books, kind of fun. But yeah, got the shark here, got the boy swimming. Is this an actual scene in the book? I guess we'll find out, and we'll talk about that view later. So this book is mainly about a boy named Billy, who kind of has a moniker of William Deep Jr., and it starts off the book as William Deep trying to find this great white stingray, and he's a famous underwater explorer. Tells tales of all the other beasts that he's got, and then he kind of realizes, oh no, I'm too deep and I'm running out of air, and he's racing to get to the surface, and his sister Sheena then kind of ruins it, and he's having a little daydream, and so it just kind of paints Billy as kind of just this imaginative kid. He likes to see himself as kind of brave and an explorer. And they get out the rest of the info, and basically him and his sister Sheena spend their summers with their uncle, Dr. Deep, who is kind of a marine biologist, studies all kind of marine animals, and they live out on his boat, usually in the part of the summer, and he kind of takes care of them, and they get to explore and stuff, and that's kind of the basis of where the story starts. So they're on the boat. His name is Cassandra, and it starts the book warning them to be careful around the reef. So where they are studying right now, there's kind of this reef that's nearby, some coral. He's just like, hey, don't go near it. It's kind of dangerous. Stay away. So the kids go out swimming, which again in this book, the kids go out swimming a lot. It never mentions them putting on it's actually one of those things of like reading it back now as a parent of I don't think they ever mention that they put on life jackets or anything like that. They're just swimming around the ocean a ton, and I can't remember how old they are, but they're probably 8 and 10, something like that, pretty young to just be swimming on their own in the ocean with no supervision. But whatever, it was the 90s. Kids did crazy crap. So they go out swimming, and immediately they're at the reef, because of course they keep going to the reef the whole book. Spoilers. They're out near the reef, and Billy feels something grabs him, and he looks down. And he says he sees a huge monster, and it's pulling him down. And Dr. D comes over and kind of saves him, pulls him out of the water, and he's like, "Oh, I saw a huge monster," and obviously they don't believe him, kind of deal. The monster's gone, and Dr. D's like, oh, it's probably some seaweed or whatnot. And Sheena thinks he's lying. So after they kind of argue about it, and she doesn't believe him, they decide that they're going to race back to the boat. Sheena takes off with a head start, even though Billy's a stronger swimmer. She kind of is close to the boat and takes off, so he's not going to catch her. So he decides that he is going to cut through the coral. So again, warned about it, they immediately swim to it and past it, and then he swims through it. And as soon as he touches it, he feels his skin is on fire. So Dr. D helps him back to the boat. He explained that it's fire coral, and it's just got little kind of needles in it, and they just burn your skin. He's like, oh, I told you not to touch it, and it's painful. And so he starts taking him back to the boat, and as he's leaving, he feels something pull on him again. Doesn't see anything, but again, it's kind of the thing where the first chapter kind of is a thing of like, oh, he's a imaginative kid. Like, is he seeing these things? Was it seaweed? And then he imagines it as a monster. Did he feel anything touch him? There are points in the book too where I can't remember if it's happened at this point, but Sheena will also kind of sneak up and grab him. So it's just that thing of like, what's going on at this point? So they get back to the boat and they meet Alexander, and he's like a grad student, I think, who's working with Dr. D. Basically the way to describe him is he's built like a football player and he can't cook. So big guy, and he cooks for them, but they don't like it. So he tells them too that he once touched it as well and how much it hurt, and he's lucky that he didn't like break any skin because it could be so much worse. But they're able to take care of it pretty easily. So then they kind of look around the boat, and there's a couple of things that just aren't like working great and whatnot, and little small tanks, and it kind of comes up. Alexander explains like, money's getting a little tight, like we're having a little trouble getting the supplies we need and everything. And then so some people show up from the Marina Zoo, and they go in with Alexandra and Dr. Deep into his office, and Billy eavesdrops on them. So what the zoo people are looking for is, a lot of people have been talking about how there's mermaids in these waters, and Dr. Deep, being an expert at marine life, marine biology and whatnot, they want him to find him. He's a little hesitant, because he doesn't believe in it, but just again kind of looking for this type of thing. But they offer him a bunch of money. I think it's about $1 million, something like $1 million. And him and Alexander are like, well, that would go a long way to kind of fund us. So they kind of set up just before the people show up there with Alexander, be like, oh, we're pretty tight on money, can't afford things, with then this $1 million opportunity falling in their lap. So they agree to do it, and just as they do that, Billy leans too hard and falls through the door and into the room. So right away, the zoo people are pretty upset, and they're like, hey, what's this kid doing here? But both Alexander and Dr. Deep are like, hey, this is Dr. Deep's nephew, like he's great, like he can keep a secret, like he knows the water as well, and he can help us look. So Billy's obviously super excited. He's instructed not to tell Sheena, but he's super pumped, kind of gets in his William Deep Jr. View again of, hey, like, oh, the super marine, deep sea diver hero is going to find this mermaid. So again, he then goes out swimming, and he is kind of swimming around looking for it again. He feels something pull him, and it's a bunch of tentacles. He's getting pulled underwater, and it is the classic Stein dream, where one of the chapters, I'd say in 80% of Stein's books, are just a dream. So he does, kind of a throwaway chapter, but yeah, he goes out and he dreams they did it, and he wakes up, and then he actually goes out swimming. So kind of one of those, like, okay, like whatever. Maybe as a kid you get a little excited about it, but he goes out, and then again he goes off near the reef, and he's looking, and he feels something scratch him, and he turns around, and it's Sheena. So Sheena saw him sneak out and follows him. Again, he kind of has to be sneaky, because he's not allowed to tell her, and he doesn't want to tell her. He likes knowing the secret why he's out there. So she starts swimming back, and she starts screaming that he needs to come, and he's kind of ignoring her because he wants to go find the mermaid. And he looks over, and there's a shark, and the shark starts to circle him. So at this point, he's actually starting to get a little scared. He kind of tries to start swimming back, but he realizes there's no way he's going to make it. And the shark kind of like starts bumping into him. I think at this point it actually like kind of bites him as well. Like it's pretty. This is the part of the book where like it's one of the more graphic things, I think. Like one of the, again, I like when Stein gets a little like actual scary. Like I do enjoy a book about some kind of mythical creature, right? Like Werewolf Fever Swamp. Like I like the idea of the werewolf and kind of it out there hunting. But, the mummy, but, like, they live in a world that doesn't exist. But when he writes about things that can happen, like, the best example to me is Say Cheese and Die, of actual events that would be scary to kids, of like your friends disappearing and crashes. I think that holds up better. I mean, we'll see how it ends at the end of the book, but like I kind of really like this part with the shark. So he's kind of getting hemmed in, and all he can do is he finally decides he has to get to the reef, and it's his only chance, even though he knows it's not safe. And he actually gets up and stands on the reef and's kind of enjoying the pain, but the shark is still kind of after him. And right then, the mermaid shows up and fights off the shark. So we can't really see what's happening at first. Like, something just attacks the shark. He doesn't know what it is, but he's pretty weak, right? Like, I'm quite sure he gets bitten, and he's got the fire coral going through him, so he's in a lot of pain. And he finally sees the shark kind of runs off, and he sees it's the mermaid. So the mermaid is then looking at him and sees that he's in pain, and she is able to just touch him with her hands and heals the fire coral burns. I don't know about the bite, but she heals the coral burns at least. So they're kind of like having a moment, and like she dives below and is like pinching him, kind of doing a similar thing that Sheena was doing, and a net drops on her. So Sheena had raced back to the boat to get Dr. D. They rush out to save him, and there's the mermaid. Literally hours, like the next morning after they ask him to find it, this mythical creature, they find it immediately. So they can't believe it. Like Dr. D, Alexander, Sheena, they're all just blown away that it actually exists. And they decide that they're going to put her in a big tank that they have kind of on top of the boat. It's the biggest tank they have. So Alexander starts filling with water. They get her in it. Billy's actually stuck in the net for a bit too. So they get out, and right away, Billy is upset that they caught her. He's like, she's a, again, it's that thing of like, always that distinction of like a person to an animal, right? Where it's kind of like, it was a mythical idea in his mind, but as soon as he found her and met her and she had a personality, like he's like this, no, we can't do it. So he's pretty unhappy about it right away. So he kind of calls out Dr. D too about how he's only doing it for the money, which really hurts Dr. Deep's feelings, and I think it's unfair. It's the thing where if we're, as humans, if we were to find something like that, like you'd have to study it and do stuff like, I'd hope that nobody would cause any harm to it, but you'd want to make that contact and be like, okay, like what is this, and like where they come from and how is this possible? And Dr. Deep seems like the kind of person who would care about it. Like, I don't know about the zoo thing, but you'd at least want to speak to them and kind of maybe get something going with them that you can put them back and continue to discuss and learn about them and their society, but maybe keep it a secret. But again, the $1 million goes a long way for his study. So a little cheap shot by Billy on that one, especially when he was gung-ho about it 2 seconds ago. So they put him in the big tank. They go, and Dr. Deep goes into town to try and find some food that she'll like. 'Cause they don't know what she eats. Billy throws some cookies in, they immediately disintegrate. And he's like, all right, yeah, I wouldn't want wet cookies. So they do find out Alexander made some like gross sounding, like something with squid ink, and they throw that in, and she loves it. So they kind of make the joke that, hey, somebody finally likes like Alexander's cooking, which is pretty good one. He tries to communicate with her. Like Billy's trying to again connect with her, and there's a bit of going on. Like they're kind of understanding each other, and he tries to free her, but Alex catches him and stops him. And like it's a big tank, so Billy would have trouble doing it on his own. And he's just like, Billy, like this is an important thing for your uncle. Like this is a very important find. Like he's going to be famous. Like this will continue his research for forever, basically. Like you can't take this from him. And again, like this book's kind of an interesting one because it has like this moral dilemma, right? Like a lot of the books are just kind of about scares and whatnot and paranormal things going on. This one's actually one of the more real ones, of like actual, real events and decisions and tough topics, I would say, compared to some. So, what was it? Yeah, so Freya, Alex explains the importance. Um, Sheena, like, he eventually goes down, and then Sheena comes down and tells him that she escaped. Um, and so she tricks him that he escapes, and then he goes to bed. And he wakes up, and there's some people on board stealing her. So him and Sheena both get up on board, and Dr. Deep is there, and he's knocked out. And Billy tries to fight off the people doing it, but he's just a kid. They just pick him up and throw him in the tank, which is super. I mean, again, just tie a kid down. Like, they throw him in a tank full of water, but it gets worse. So then they keep thinking, like, oh, where's Alex? Like, again, Alex is described as this huge, like, football-sized guy, and he finally comes up on board, and it turns out that he is with the kidnappers. So Alexander turns out to be a bad guy. Again, don't think he starts this way, but he says that they offered him like 10 million or something like that, and he's just like, sorry, like, money's money. And they're like, well, what can we do with these guys? Like, if we just leave them here, they're going to catch up to us, like, whatnot. So they throw all three of them in the tank and then push the tank into the water, which, even with all that, like, that's super scummy by Alexander. She's just going to kill them, like, his mentor and two children, and drown them in the ocean for this mermaid. So again, this book hits a little more adult than a bunch of them. Like there's adultish moments, but like, this one really has real stakes of it's not like a supernatural death. Like, it has a supernatural element of the mermaid, but there's a lot of real things going on, which is kind of crazy. So they spend trying to get, like, the lid off, and it has like little screws that they're trying to get at, and they finally get it off, and they realize there's some on the other side, and they can't get to those. So they're all freaking out, right? Like, it's kind of, I think, still bobbing a bit in the water, but it's going to sink, and there's not much they can do about it. They're in the middle of the ocean, kind of in the middle of the night, and then a bunch of other mermaids show up, and the other mermaids pop it off the lid, and they're immediately, of course, scared that, like, hey, we took their mermaid, and they're going to kill us. And the mermaids are only concerned with finding their friend. So they team up, basically, and the mermaids kind of lead them, and they get off in their boat and chase off to the other boat. They get close to it. They get in, like, a little dinghy and kind of get close to the boat. They try to sneak on, get caught almost immediately. The other boat doesn't have a tank on it, so I think they just have the mermaid tied up out back, which is why the other mermaids could find her. So they're all kind of fighting, with the dinghy, and they light it on fire, and so I think Sheena's trying to put it out, and Dr. D's kind of trying to fight them off, and Billy's doing whatever he does there. And in the distraction, all of a sudden they realize that the mermaid is gone. They look back, and the mermaid's gone. I don't think they realize that there's other mermaids there at first, and they kind of use, like, the Dr. Deep and Sheena and Billy as a distraction, and they free her, and they all just kind of go off. So they get back to their boat. I mean, again, I'd be immediately calling in and being like, hey, there's a boat out here. And, like, if I was the other boat, I'd still, Alexander at least, still might be going back and trying to, if you're going to kill him before, why not kill him? But there's no more of that. They just leave. They just get back on their boat. And the zoo comes, and Dr. D says, hey, there's no such thing as mermaids. I looked. I'm the expert. If I can't find it, nobody can. So they're disappointed, but, like, hey, that's what you say, then that's what it is. Billy's super happy, and the book kind of ends there. Again, really quick. It seems to imply that they go the next morning and find it, and then it's literally, like, the zoo gives him one day to find it. It feels like, but probably it's a couple, but it feels very quick. Yeah, so that's the book. Some things I like about this book is, again, I feel like it's a much realer item. Like, there's real stuff going on. Like, the shark attack is pretty cool in the book. The whole, like, fighting and the kidnappers is kind of scary. Like, reading that as a kid, like, it's kind of, there's a lot going on, and, like, it reminds me a lot, kind of like the Curse of the Mummy. Honestly, I feel like he kind of took the idea again where the the parents kind of knocked out, and it's like their student who's kind of turned against him, kind of thing. So it's got some similarities there. But what I don't like about this book is I feel like everything that's not those points is filler. I feel like there's a lot of filler in this book. It's got the dream thing. It's just got him and Sheena swimming around a lot. It's got his kind of like little dream sequences. And again, it almost just feels too convenient of story. Like I don't like how she just heals him. Like he's attacked by a shark and apparently is just fine. How easy they go and like rescue her seems a little ridiculous. Like I would have probably liked the mermaids to attack, and I don't know why the whole boat of kidnappers is distracted by one dinghy with an old injured man and 2 children. So those parts are kind of weak. But I think the biggest thing is like the mermaid story just isn't for me. I just there's a lot of stuff like the werewolf stories I enjoy. The mermaid stories I don't as much. So that part of it, just the mermaid part almost felt irrelevant to the story. Like they are asked to find her. He immediately finds her. They capture her. She's taken. Other mermaids rescue her secretly. So that drags it down a bit. So I'm giving this book a B. Again, I think as a whole, the story and plot is a little weak. But the scenes with the shark, the scene where they're trying to get out of the tank, and the scene where the kidnappers kind of take her are all pretty great. But other than that, a lot of the foreshadowing happens almost like it's like, oh, like we're almost out of money. Very next chapter, hey, here's $1 million. Okay, you have to find the mermaid. Very next chapter, they find the mermaid. Like, not maybe exactly chapter, but it's pretty quick. And it's a kid's book, so it's short. But it's almost just, it's happening right away and too conveniently fast. They build up the thing of like, oh, the fire coral is dangerous, and he has to step on to get her from the shark, but then she has magic powers and heals it. So, it's got a couple, this is one of the books so far, maybe mostly so far that I've read, where I find the underlying story very weak, but it has some very strong moments. Now, as for the cover, again, I like books that do have an important plot point, but they're not so aggressively obvious. Like, this could have been in the book, this could not have been in the book. Like, it could have just been like, hey, like, it's a book about the ocean, sharks are in the ocean. But, it alludes to the scene with the shark, which is, again, one of the best in it. I like the coloring as well. The purple with the blue is great. But I do think it's just a little simple. I don't know. I don't know what else you could have done with this one, because like I'm glad that they didn't show a mermaid or anything like that and give away kind of what the plot is going to be. But the shark looks cool, but it's going to get an A from me. It's just not stand out enough of some of the ones that we've seen and some of the ones that are coming up, that it's a great cover. It does exactly what it needs to do. It's just, again, I think with the weakness of the story, there's not much to really kind of just stand out about it. So that's Deep Trouble. I've always kind of felt bad about this one because I knew coming into it, like, I think 2 summers ago, I'd actually listened to all the cassettes again. So I had this story pretty fresh in my mind. And of the ones on the cassette, it was the one that I was like, ooh, like it just isn't hitting for me. I was like, maybe when I read it, and I'm actually reading the words instead of listening to it, it'll come off better. And it's just a little boring. This one, something about it. I could see this one being easily a lot higher on other people's lists, but just not for mine. So that's gonna do it for this one. Next is The Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. I've also read that one already. So I hope that I will be a little faster on getting a review done. I really need to pick up the pace. I really want to get through the books because, again, we're still at the point where I remember a lot of the first half of books because I read them a lot. But the books in the second half of the series, I've read maybe once or twice. Again, some of these ones, especially if I owned them as a kid, I would take them on like a bunch. I read a lot as a kid, and I probably read some of them like 10 times. So while I don't remember them specifically because my memory sucks, that's enough time to remember the basic story of what happens, and obviously the ending. I remember all the endings. So that's gonna do it for me. If you hung around this long, I appreciate it. Again, I will try to do better at making these a bit faster. But it's going to be a bit till I'm back to actual streaming again. House is just messed right now. I don't even have my second screen down here, so I can't really do any gaming streams. So hopefully I can focus on these and maybe get a couple out. I really want to make another Nintendo Power one. I did read a magazine like a month ago, and there were some cool games in it. So maybe I'll get to one of those again soon as well. But that's going to do it.
Thanks for watching. Please click to check out my other videos, like and subscribe, and come by Twitch under Floyd Mason to join my live streams.